Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today we're talking about Kynections and our system, but we're using a very valued and loved customer, CSA and Mona. We've been on a journey of building their application, and today we're going to talk what Kynections has achieved with ensuring that we understand workflows and design and the outcomes of what a good system design and build using the Kynection system can happen. So, Kynection, who is Kynection? You've seen a lot of T-shirts around with the Kynection logo. We're nice people to start with. It's a business, was started out as a business with Courtney, actually. I happen to be Courtney's sister. And we started out in 2006. And we were on a journey where we started and where we are now. Not too dissimilar in the sense of the plan was to remove paper. It was to use technology and the smarts of technology to allow for people not to have to keep entering data over and over again. And so we went on this journey and got Kynection, which is a one system approach. Now, one system approach, I know that sounds a bit interesting, but from yesterday's session, for those who weren't here, and we will talk about it a bit later, is that businesses often have multi-systems, and the multi-systems don't necessarily talk, and the multi-systems don't necessarily give accurate, timely data. So our job is to bring all of that into one system using force workflows, accurate data capture, and making sure that the user operator does as least amount of input as possible so we make their job easier. From a business perspective, our clients generally are in the business of civil construction, heavy vehicle industry, and specialised services, which is CSA in this instance. It's all around the dirty works and high compliance as well. From a business, we are about safety, scalability, sustainability, and saleability. A lot of our clients fall into that workflow. As a business, a long time ago, Cordo, came up with the focus on AI. Now, the focus on AI is making sure that we implement AI usefully and with a purpose, not just because it's AI. And so we came up with this all-in approach of who Kynection is. And I do want to say thank you to the Kynection team and who yesterday put on the forge in this whole workshop. And that's a full testament to the values of Kynection, an all-in together process. So well done, team. So basically, CSA approached us some time ago, to be honest, and our first project was the maintenance side of the business. Now, we do a lot of modules, as you can imagine. Today we're focusing on HR, job workflow, and sales. So we have been working with Mona and Anne, big shout out to Anne as well, for helping get the CSA system in place. We implemented and went live in March this year. We then had a very short time frame to go live from MYOB account right to MYOB at the time advanced. And we had to go live by July 1, which was a huge challenge for the businesses, both us and CSA. And then we are now in the process of system improvement. And basically what that means is what are the learnings and what didn't we capture, what didn't we know, because you don't know what you don't know until you know it, right? And so that's been a massive curve of learning for both CSA and ourselves. So I'm going to hand over to Mona. She's going to introduce herself and CSA. Please just read through the challenges. We're going to talk more as part of the actual presentation. But these are the challenges that the CSA have been facing. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. What an amazing journey. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mona Naimi, the Marketing Manager and IT Business Analyst for CSA Specialized Services. CSA is a trusted provider of industrial waste management services and specialized environmental solutions supporting utilities, infrastructure, construction, and industrial sectors across Queensland and Victoria. As a business, we are proud to work with some of Australia's largest corporations and government authorities, managing a fleet of over 210 specialised equipment and employing more than 170 skilled operators.
Okay, so now, Mona, I would just like you to walk us through what a multiple disconnected system meant to CSA and what your plan of a connection system looked like.
I think, like many in our industry, CSA faced significant operational challenges before implementing Kynections. We dealt with multiple disconnected systems, making it difficult to manage and align critical functions like payroll, waste reconciliation, cost control, and supplier management, asset management. And one of the biggest challenges we had was our payroll complexity upon joining CFMU. Basically, our payroll process for CFMU-aligned employees was complicated and time-consuming at the time, requiring days of work across multiple employees and multiple workforces. This actually made it difficult to ensure that accurate calculations and compliance with CFMU rates are met, and having multiple workforces basically added to the complexity.
What does multiple workforces mean to you guys?
Basically, currently we have 3 workforces across the business: day workforce, afternoon workforce, and night workforce. They have completely different payroll categories, and the calculations are completely different. So it required accurate calculations of the payroll based on the type of the workforces that the employee is part of.
And what was the difficulty for you guys that you found with your cool BI tool?
Well, upon joining CFMU, the required resources to process payroll significantly increased to from 2 admins working 2 days a week to 4 to 5 admins working 3 days a week to actually do the data entry and manipulate the job data. And to make this process more efficient, I developed a Power BI report to integrate the timesheet database, being ATS at the time, and our job management system, which was Ostendo. I then implemented those complex payroll calculation in the BI report, which improved the efficiency required to being 2 admins working 2 days a week, but basically the data
50%
accuracy...
improvement.
Yeah. The data accuracy was still a challenge, so it required the control and checking the data before uploading to MYOB for processing.
And that was a CSV import?
Yeah, the process of uploading was manual at the time.
Yep. And what about your supplier purchase, pay and bills and the like? What were you doing with that fun stuff?
Yep, so our purchase order system was completely paper-based. Again, I developed a purchase order portal, which was a PHP and HTML-based portal, a basic portal to do away from paper. That portal was completely disconnected from the other systems again, but the benefit of it was that we were not chasing papers, basically. That portal would require, again, manual entry, and all the bills were being entered manually into MYOB. The challenge there was the inaccuracy of data. A lot of the times we came across situations where the costs were allocated to the incorrect GL and made the reporting extremely difficult. There was no project costing report. There was a lot of estimating at the time. So yeah, that was the challenge we had with the bills and suppliers. The other big challenge we had was the process of reconciling waste, which was taking me 5 days per month. And I had to perform this analysis myself because of the complexity of the process, having all those disconnected systems. That was a very time-consuming task, and I built.
Was it accurate still then?
It was to some extent, but not to the point that we expected. No.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the explanation. The other thing I just want to quickly go over is that we have also transferred maintenance from paper to electronic as well. The next slide that I'm going to bring up is it's a video, and I will be talking to that as we do. And basically it's going to show and what we're trying to show here is the complexity of what Mona and CSA have dealt with is, and it's very hard to understand, but is anyone in the CFMEU and has to do like crazy site calculations and so it's a massive problem. And what it comes down to is setting up the payroll rule sets as a configuration. So the KIM system, what it does, it allows for the client to self-manage once we actually understand what that looks like. It's completely a configuration. You can have, I think we've got over 20 workforces and shifts based on the requirements of the business. We've set all those up within KIM, and we're just going to do a brief showing of how that looks, and I'll talk to that. And the last big one for us is the field service operator guys. It's going to be a video of what the operator goes through from beginning to end. It's showing our force workflow capability, and the key for that is, one, we can control what they do and when they do it, so we cover off compliance. Two, we allow for data capture, so we define what data we need in order for us to be, for CSA, to allow the CSA to have the data they need for timesheet, accurate timesheet payroll, invoicing, supplier, waste bill, reconciliations at the end. So whatever the field operators is doing in field is the data we're using in the system and in BI. So it's critical at that front end. One, force workflows. They can't not do what you don't want them to do. And we define the data fields. So it's just a bit of video, and I'll just be talking through that as we go through. So I'll click through. Huge shout out to Simon. Simon, instrumental. Without you, this doesn't work. Yeah. Mona and team love you. He has been extraordinary in the build of this. So the complexity in the payroll as well, I just want to say, when we were given the brief to fix the problem with CSA, and when we went live, it was, Casey, we have 170 operators. They have to be paid on time and it has to be correct. Otherwise they get cranky and they'll walk. That was our brief. That's what we had to solve. Correct. And so what we did is we went through with the business. We've set up the payroll settings. This is just literally settings showing the complexities of the different rule sets that we've had to set up. Then the different workforces that sit under that. It's all a configuration. We pull down from MYOB account right at the time, now MYOB Acumatica. We pull down the allowances, the payroll rule sets, and that allows us for accurate data push up because we fully integrate into MYOB. So timesheets are automated from a KIM workflow perspective. So everything they set up as an employee, everything has the opportunity to override at employee level, not just at a workforce level. So we group it and you default it, or you can define it based on an individual if there's someone special in the organisation that needs that. Basically, from a HR perspective, the HR system not only does timesheets, it does training matrices as well, which we then use against projects. So if you have a project that has a specific requirement and everyone on site must have it, which might be a confined for space, for instance, at that point in time, whatever's set up in HR, you can configure it on the project. The project itself, if you schedule, then it defines whether or not that person has the correct training matrices. So this is our CSA shift operator. You'll notice straight up there's a warning outside of check-in distance. So CSA implemented that every operator had to be on site in order for them to be able to check into the timesheet. So this was removing the guy that was shift starting at the cafe just outside his house. Massive improvement straight away. The force workflow here, as you'll see, this is a vehicle pre-start. Now, basically it's a pass or fail. If it's a fail, it opens up a subform. In that instance, we're capturing the fail, take a photo, submit, and that goes immediately into the maintenance module. And that then becomes part of a servicing regime and also fault fixes. We also look after, as part of the job workflow, compliance. So being I know they're specialised services, they are a heavy vehicle business because of the size of their trucks. They are compliant within NHVR maintenance and fatigue management. And so what we did was made sure that we are compliant. So they have to do a fit for duty as well as a vehicle declaration saying that they are able to use the vehicle. Responsibility of the driver, operator. Then we had the implementation of a workflow. I can't press pause because I think it's going to jump. So in this workflow, what the really important parts of this is that the pressing of the buttons defines the time. So the operator doesn't have to press the time and add time. The time is automatically allocated based on the fact that they're pressing the buttons. So they start the drive, they arrive at the customer site, they get the customer to sign off. At the end of that then simplifies the workflow. There's no then adding or changing data, which causes incorrect information. But the other thing what we've done is we've put in inabilities to make bad information. So they can only round up to 15 minutes. They can't do, we've got minimum and maximums in the system so that they can't like put in 1,000 tonnes of waste. They can only put in what that waste might be able to have as a total. So there's lots of smarts in the background that allows for data accuracy. Critical when we're going to be doing reporting, critical when we're doing payroll. So the start disposal workflow is really important in this is because this is where we are now allowing Mona to reconcile waste in a very unique way, which we'll talk through. The other interesting thing here is it's a rate card. So only the supplier that we then allow for that waste to be chosen. So if the supplier doesn't actually hold that waste, they cannot choose the waste. So the whole way is we're actually reducing the ability to have inaccurate data. Yep. And also evidentiary data, so that a photo of a docket, I know that wasn't a docket, but a photo of a docket will then ensure that they can validate the data if it doesn't look right. So in here is the job timings form. Critical piece of information. This would ordinarily have the buttons pre-pressed, but Simon, as you can see, it was a bit of a fast one, so he's changing the times, which is flexibility too. Often operators forget to press the buttons. They get to the end of the job and they've got to complete some information, so suddenly they've got to change time. So they learn that the hard way. The sooner they press buttons, the less information and work they have to do. It's actually a win. And we not only use this form for timesheet payroll processing for allowances, so if they worked on a CFMEU job, we know exactly how long they were on there for, we know exactly how much they should be paid. This data is also used for billing. So we know how long a truck operator, multiple operators have been working on this particular job, and we use this data to backfill and auto invoice based on that information, which is really pretty cool. So at the end of the shift, basically, we get the beginnings and ends. We do some really smart things around travel, automatic travel charges based on clients. There's a lot of smarts in the background based on a client. Should they get an invoice? Should they get the job docket sent immediately after it's completed and signed off? Should that just only be sent when the invoice is being sent? So many really cool things that we do. Then we have the post-checklist, another compliance auditing capability at the end of the shift, gives the opportunity for CSA to understand where the health of the truck and the person was at the end of shift, which is really important. And the only other thing I haven't mentioned is we do automatic, after 5.25 hours, the automation of having a break, which is really cool. All that cool data then comes into Kim immediately. This is a timesheet approval dashboard for us. Basically, all the little green things are the site allowances, and they're automated based on where they've worked. Everything is then changeable, so if anything was incorrect, doesn't really get to be, but usually there are additional things that they might need to add in. You can update and change all those. This data, and if there's anything incorrect, our actual timesheet approval dashboard defines the failures. It shows you when the data's wrong. So you have an opportunity to fix it before you do a bulk upload into MYOB. And this process, as you can see, a lot of really cool data. It calculates your normal hours, calculates your overtime 1.5, whatever our calculations have been based on job type, which is really, really cool. So at the back end of all of that, we have the business wins. So I'm hoping Mona can just tell us at the end of the day, after the process of all of the things that she was dealing with prior and the systems that were not connected, at the end of the day, how you've actually improved.
I guess the efficiency in payroll processing was our biggest win. We now require one admin spending 1 day a week processing payroll and pushing up payroll, which is basically only checking the data. The other big win that we had was the confidence we gained from our operators with regards to the pay rate calculation for multiple workforces. The flexibility of the system is a big win again. A lot of the times, often I can set up the EBA settings and introduce a new workforce or a new type of job that we do specifically for payroll processing. And in the past, there could be some overpayments for CFMU rates, and there was no proper auditing and operators basically productive time monitoring, which that was again another win for CSA. We now are able to monitor our workforce, report on productive time, and have that confidence that our payroll calculation is accurate.
And the one I love is, how long does it now take to do payroll processing?
Yep, it's 1 day and
1 day.
8 hours, one admin.
I reckon that's a big improvement and accurate. We also, as part of obviously timesheets, we're going to wrap up because we're going to pass across to Brett, is we integrate into MYOB. Now we integrate everything into MYOB, and one of the big changes that we did was moving to MYOB was the supplier bill reconciliation. Now this was huge for you guys, so I think we need to just have a quick chat about that.
As I mentioned earlier, we had a disconnected purchase order system, which wasn't integrated to MYOB at the time. There was a lot of human error in data entry into MYOB. The cost reporting wasn't accurate. By implementing that automated purchase order system, basically the end user raises the purchase order, and the AP admin would be processing the bill using the purchase order data provided by the end user.
So that was that waste form that we had, isn't it? Where they added the actual waste and the supplier and information. So that data we're now using for your automated PO.
Yep. So the normal job costing purchase order is also streamlined, which basically allows us to automatically create the bill, push up the bill to MYOB, and one of the coolest features we implemented was being able to push up the PDF to MYOB. So basically, it allowed us to streamline our processes in a way that our admin didn't have to do manual handling, basically adding the PDF bill in MYOB again. So we are able to push up the PDF bill to MYOB. In terms of the, again, a cool workflow we implemented for waste, basically upon approval of the waste by the AP, the system automatically creates a purchase order, which is basically daily purchase orders are created in the system per supplier. At the end of the month, we can pull all those purchase order lines into our bill, and we can very quickly reconcile our bill against the purchase order created in the system, and we can easily identify the discrepancies, which was taking me originally 5 days a month to reconcile, and it's now probably 8 to 12 hours a week that our AP team spends on this process.
Awesome. I think, yeah, so the learnings out the back end for the business, which was massive, one, confidence in data, accurate data, faster processing, FTE removal, which was pretty massive, and then the ability for the purchase order, the supplier win of the supplier bills.
And we often couldn't dispute bill inaccuracies in time.
Well, in essence, if you don't know what you don't know, you're going to pay a bill. Now you know.
It's the cost management.
Now you're not going to pay a bill if you don't know it's there.
Until it's reconciled.
All right, we don't have a lot of time. I'm very conscious. So I'm going to hand over to Brett, and we're going to be talking about reporting and BI.
Yay.
Yep. Okay, so I've been cut short, which is really good. So we're going to talk about...
talk too much.
I won't, so I'll keep it short. We're going to talk about data. So how exciting is that? Everybody goes, oh, God, this is the data guy. I'm not. I'm an ops guy. So I'm an operational manager. I'm not a data guy. I'm not an accountant. But the interesting thing is when you start thinking about data and you turn data into information and information into insights, insights then become decisions. And that's the difference. Okay, so if I quickly run through your normal scenario now, Mona and their business are probably not at current and future, they're at past and now. So current equals data everywhere, spreadsheets, paper, multiple systems, disconnected, requires a large FTE to capture and collate that data. So that's your typical type scenario in a lot of the businesses out there at the moment. What we try and do is we try and collect all that data, load it on our wonderful Kynections truck, okay, because we like trucks and big gear, which then brings all that data together, okay, and that's a very significant first step, okay, because if you don't have it all collated and all together, then you've got to use your reporting to try and put it all together, okay, so that's the first step. Mona, can you just give us a bit of a quick insight, because we're running out of time, on your first attempt? So Mona had a go at doing reporting without Kynections, and just a very quick overview on the pain that you went through.
20 seconds, okay. With multiple workforces and complex operations across Queensland and Victoria, data from the field often arrived late or was incomplete, and making it really difficult to generate reliable reports or make timely decisions. Decision making was often reactive, and lack of costing data again in the system made it absolutely impossible to develop project margin reports, and we often had to provide costing estimates, which made the reporting inaccurate and unreliable. For me, the challenging part was again integrating all those disconnected systems in BI. And there was no auditing process or approval process in place to be able to have reliable data reported to their stakeholders.
Oh, well done. That's impressive. So basically, on all the information we've gone through already, we've now captured our data. We've got quality and control of our data. We're using force workflows and mandatory fields to capture that data. So we're ensuring that all the data we need is actually being captured in field before we're even starting to look at our reporting. Okay, and then we've loaded it on our truck, and our truck's Kim. Okay, so we've now got Kim in place. So quickly, basically what Kim's doing is it's putting all your data into modules, which is giving you security, and it's giving you access. So only people that have access to the module you need them to have access to get into it. So we're controlling security, we're controlling quality of the data, we're filtering it, we're applying rules then like the EBA rules in the system. So basically Kim is removing the BI requirement to build all that. So it's done. So we've now got quality data in modules with tables that are easily accessible. They don't change, which is the next slide, which is Mona. I have to show because Mona was absolutely, it's her baby. Oh, you've skipped it already. All right, anyway, Mona's next slide. So, and we come up with Mona's wonderful reports. All right, which I'll get Mona to talk to really quickly, just to give us a bit of insight into some of the...
30 seconds? A minute. Okay.
Some of the gains.
Maybe go back to my baby. Yeah, so by creating all those workflows in Kim, we managed to create that data model in BI, which was significant and huge for me. We are now able to report on our operators' utilization, being productive versus non-productive time. It has given more visibility to our operations manager and the business owners to make informed decisions, and the decision making is now often proactive. The fleet utilization, we are able to report basically real time. We can track the utilization of fleet, and we can make decisions and do forecasting in terms of the capitals we need for the business. We also built an amazing truck forecasting report, which basically gives the visibility to our sales team to be able to know the number of jobs booked against that truck, how many equipment is available to book, and they can make decisions instantly over the phone with the client to be able to supply the truck on that expected booking date.
That was fantastic. All right, so we've got our outcome. So we've got our wonderful hot air balloon relaxed over the top of the MCG, can see everything, can control everything, has everything easily easily visible. So from the business management point of view, it's at your fingertips. Next step, AI. What does AI do? We've now got historical BI data with information that we can rely on. And then very quickly, AI comes over the top. You're doing grain cartage. You then pull in weather information about the weather and grain cartage, and all of a sudden you're not doing forecasting. You're not doing what am I happening now. Bye.
You're going to start seeing a pattern through the course of the day that the people up on the stage, everybody has a lot to share. And actually getting these guys to squeeze it into a 20, 25-minute session is the hardest part of today from an administration point of view. So a very big thank you to Casey, Brett, but especially to Mona. It was fantastic work. So thank you very much.